Hey everyone, today I'm going to walk you through soloing the Raptor and Tiger Boss in ZG at level 70 and the Wrath pre-patch as a Prot Pally. Both of these solos have gotten significantly easier, so they're both pretty quick. Let's hop right in. First, we'll look at Raptor Boss. The first thing you need to know is that avoidance is bugged at the moment, so I have a lot more dodge and slightly more miss and parry than I should. When this is fixed, you may want to wear some extra block value gear. This shouldn't change much as Bloodlord has overpower, which he uses after the player dodges, so dodge has a bit of a drawback on this fight anyway. And a lot of my Holy Shield and Redoubt block chance was being wasted with the extra avoidance. Block value is extremely good for this fight since some of his abilities hit hard enough to still do a little bit of damage even with our increased pre-patch block value. This is the year I wore, and I didn't change any gems or enchants from what I have in TBC at the moment, and also didn't use any consumes. I did have Seal of the Exorcist on by accident and meant for that to be Band of the Abyssal Lord, so there is a ton of room to optimize this. For potions, I'd recommend pre-potting with an Iron Shield pot before the pull, and then using a mana pot during the fight when you need to. This isn't necessary, but it will make it easier and faster. Keep in mind, you're only allowed to use one potion per combat now. The keys for gearing for this fight are 5.6% reduced chance to be crit, since he's a boss mob and boss mobs are always 3 levels higher than character level. High block value to significantly reduce damage taken, and enough avoidance to reach 102.4% avoidance with Holy Shield or Redoubt up, so that the worst outcome of an attack is a block. After that, you can pick up Expertise soft cap of 26 and hit cap of 8%. Expertise and hit will help you kill him faster, but also increase your healing and mana return from your judgments since you'll hit more often. You can also pick up Expertise past 26 to reduce parry chance if you're really geared. If you have any survivability issues, picking up extra block value will help a ton to turn more of his attacks from partial blocks to full blocks. This is the spec I use, but you don't need to spec specifically for this. Whatever spec you're using for rating should be totally fine. I was lazy and didn't even grab a second glyph, though there aren't many great ones available in pre-patch anyway. It is possible to take the Raptor to a spot where he will fall under the ground and despawn, and you can skip fighting him. However, you do have to clear an extra pack for this. I chose to fight both the Raptor and Bloodlord because it saves time not clearing the pack, and the Raptor procs extra mana for us from Blessing of Sank and more Reckoning procs to kill Bloodlord quicker. Bloodlord will enrage for a short time after the Raptor dies, which will increase his attack speed and slightly increase his damage. This enrage is actually kind of beneficial for us because it gives us more mana back from Blessing of Sank, more Reckoning procs, and a pretty negligible effect on damage taken. This was my first attempt at the Raptor solo in pre-patch, so I didn't have everything refined and was playing around with some things. This took me about 18 minutes, but it could definitely be done faster. In the future, I probably wouldn't focus the Raptor down, but just let him die from Hammer of the Righteous, Seal of Vengeance, and Holy Shield. I also wouldn't use Consecration unless I was mana capped, and save that mana for Hammer of the Righteous, Holy Shield, and Judgment instead. You can keep Judgment on both Raptor and Bloodlord for extra Judgment procs, as the debuff lasts 20 seconds. I don't bother stopping my attacks when he uses Threatening Gaze, as he will often guillotine anyway, and it will take far longer to kill him if you're stopping your attacks. This was the biggest problem I had trying to solo this in TBC, as he would guillotine me even if I did absolutely nothing. If you're having survivability issues, you could stop attacking during Threatening Gaze, and sometimes he won't guillotine you. The only significant damage you'll really take is when he fears and guillotines at the same time, so you take an unavoided or blocked guillotine. This doesn't happen too often, but it's the main burst damage to be aware of, as it can hit for about 3k. You'll want to use Judgment of Wisdom as much as you can to finish the fight more quickly. Use Judgment of Light once your Ardent Defender is procced, and keep it up until you have a good HP buffer or until Ardent Defender is off cooldown. Use Avenging Wrath when you can. It can only be used 30 seconds apart from Forbearance spells. Divine Shield early to remove Sunder Armor when stacks get high. Use your second Forbearance on Lay on Hands after you proc Ardent Defender and get low HP again. All future Forbearances I would just use on Divine Protection. Keep Seal of Vengeance up the entire time if you can. If you're less geared, you may need to swap to Seal of Light during times Ardent Defender is on cooldown until you get a decent amount of HP back. Try to keep Holy Shield up as much as you can too, specifically when Redoubt isn't procced. Bloodlord has a lot of HP, so this takes a little while, but as you learn it and get more familiar with it, you'll be able to get the time down pretty quickly. Now for the Tiger boss. I just used the same gear and talents for Tiger as I did for Raptor. Tiger boss now teleports when you go to the safe spot, so the phase 1 skip doesn't work, though it's possible someone will find a new way to do this. I found it was easy to just do phase 1 instead of skipping it. Since we don't have to worry about the skip, we don't have to spend time on any trash or reset shenanigans, which saves some time. It took me just over 7 minutes total to do phase 1 and 2, which is about as long as it takes me in TBC to do phase 2 alone right now. For phase 1, the key is line of sighting Lorcan's heals with the pillar. Lorcan always heals the lowest percent HP mob. Make sure Lorcan is never the lowest percent HP, and you'll never have to worry about her healing herself. All of the bosses have different amounts of HP, so doing 1k damage to one will be a very different HP percent than another one. Focus on Zath first, get him about 15% below Lorcan, then start working on Thickall. Use Judgment of Light the whole time as you'll get plenty of mana return from Blessing of Sank. You'll also be silenced a lot of this fight too, which limits how much mana you can even spend. You could potentially use a silence reduction neck to take 1 second off the silence. Keep in mind, you can still use Hammer of the Righteous while silenced. Occasionally you will get disarmed too, and then you won't be able to use Hammer of the Righteous. Damage taken wasn't an issue, so I ran Ret Aura. All bosses need to die within 10 seconds of one another, so spread your damage and make sure they're all about 10% HP or less when you're going for the kills. At this point, you can bubble to prevent silence and disarm, but keep in mind bubble now reduces damage you deal by 50%. Lorcan could potentially fall to the lowest HP percent during this time as you're killing all of them, so bubbling out of silence or pre-bubbling and not being silenceable also allows you to easily interrupt her heal if she tries to cast on herself. You can use Hammer of Justice as an interrupt now. For phase 2, the damage isn't a big deal, so you don't really need an anti-bleed spot anymore. This is the easiest part. Just keep Judgment of Light and Holy Shield up. Don't worry about focusing the tiger spawns. They'll slowly die to AoE, and they'll give you mana back from Blessing of Sank. Once you get this down, this will be a very easy kill. It may just take you a little bit of practice learning the pillar line of sighting. That about wraps it up. Once you get these new strats down, these will be very quick farms and you'll get your bi-weekly disappointment in record time. If you like what I do and want to support me, the easiest way to do that is just liking, subscribing, and commenting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.